Okay, good morning, everyone. Shalom Aleichem. Welcome back to Sefer Shmuel Aleph. We are up to Perek Chaf Beis, chapter 22 in Sefer Shmuel Aleph. We just learned about David's trip to Nov, which is going to come into play over here. David HaMelech went to Nov, Ir HaKohanim, and he met the Kohen Gadol Achimelech ben Achituv. And Achimelech was very helpful to him. David said he was on a secret mission. He has men hiding in the forest. He needs food, and I need weapons. And he gave him Goliath's weapon. Now David flees from there. We mentioned that there was a guy that happened to be there whose name was Doeg Edomi. No one happens to be anywhere. That's just an important lesson in general. And we see that Kadosh Baruch Hu always puts us in situations that we are supposed to be in, hopefully for the good, and sometimes, unfortunately, to experience challenges. The Navi tells us that David runs away from Nov. Vayelech David misham, from Nov, v'yimaleit el ma'aras adulam. And he goes to hide in a cave in Adulam. Vayishma'u achiv v'chol beis aviv. Vayerdu elav sham. So David now runs away. This is now really a new transition in the Sefer itself. Now David is officially on the run. It began last week. Now this is stop number 2 on his run. He is in an Adulamite cave, and his brothers and his mishpacha, his family, his mother, his father, they all find out that he's on the run, and they go to support him. The Mefarshim here say they're coming for one of two reasons. Either they're coming because they're afraid that if David was deemed a rebel, then the king might also take that out on David's entire family. They feel that their life is at risk as well. Additionally, they are coming to show their unwavering support for David. This is very important because it was not clear up until now whether David's family fully supported him in this role. He did not have a simple and easy relationship with his brothers, as we noted, especially in the story of Goliath. His own father didn't really necessarily consider him kingship worthy. And now we see that they really have a tremendous amount of respect for him and are tremendously supporting him during this time, that they are packing up their bags. I just want to say that when we learn Torah, it's important to contextualize our Torah and to make it relevant to our lives. It's not always the easiest thing. You don't have to do that. Sometimes you're learning things it's disparate, it's disconnected, but the Torah is a guidebook. That is true when it comes to halacha. Halacha comes from the word halach, holech, to walk. You walk with the Torah. The Torah, guides us in terms of what to do in our lives at every situation. In addition, when we're learning Navi, we're learning Chumash, we're learning narrative, there's also ways to us to find meaning here. And I think there's so many layers of meaning in the prakim that we are learning right now. And I'm not going to share all of it. It's just so obvious. David's on the run. He doesn't know who his supporters are. And then out of nowhere, everybody, his entire mishpacha, comes to support him. Just pretty amazing. The Das Sofrim points out over here that David HaMelech, at this time when he's hiding in a cave, right? He's hiding in a cave, that he composed one of the prakim of Tehillim at this time. That is Tehillim Nun Zayin, where he says, Lam natseach al tashches leDavid michtam. To the chief musician, al tashches, michtam v'archo mipnei Shaul ba'me'ara. I'm composing this tefillah when I'm running away from Shaul in a cave. Chaneni Elokim chaneni. Hashem, please be gracious to me. You think of the people that were hiding in caves from enemies. Ki becha chasiya. Because Hashem, I can only put my complete trust in you. Nafshi. Ad yavor havos. Right? And I can only place myself in your shadows, in the wings of your shadows of your wings, because until the calamities have finished. Ekra le'elokim elyon. I cry out to Hashem, who's the highest, Lakel Gomer Alai, who performs all things for me. You know, it's powerful, powerful tefillah. David is expressing this tefillah while he's hiding in a cave. He has now support of his family. Vizehu. He doesn't know what's going to be in his life, if he's going to live another day or not. He has no clue. Just living every day on its own, and he has to put complete reliance on the Ribono Shel Olam. And now David has more support. This is a very powerful pasuk. Who comes to support David HaMelech? The dignitaries? No. The noblemen? No. The people of the military? No. Everyone that was in distress, everyone that had a debt, everyone that was discontented, about 400 men who I would say were not of the upper echelons of society, felt a deep connection and bond with David HaMelech. David was the every person king. He was a leader. They made him a leader over them. Very, very moving. Who David made, who connected to David HaMelech. You think about the Tehillim that we just read and what he composed. Everyone connects to this. Amar Nefesh. Who hasn't experienced Meriras, pain and bitterness of their soul? Ish Matzok, someone who's in debt, owes a lot. Whether it's physically, the money, you feel like you're in debt to other people. You have to fulfill their needs. These are the people that connect with David HaMelech. Rav Shlomo Freifeld Zatzal, he has one of the best biographies out there. Rav Freifeld was a student of Rav Hutner and founded the yeshiva Shar Yashav, which originally was for Bali Tshuva. There's still very much a Bali Tshuva connection there. I was supposed to learn Night Seder there for a year. Very special place. In his biography, has a beautiful thought, which I think about a lot. Why did they connect with David HaMelech? Look at the pasuk. It wasn't just a person that was a matzuk, nosha, mar nefesh. David treated each one of them as an ish, as a person. He didn't look at their needs, their needy, their emotions, their past, their failures. David looked at each one of them as an ish. And that's what connected them to them. Each one of these phrases is prefaced with the word ish. Ish matzok, ish asher lo, ish mar nefesh. Now, it could have just said ish matzok, kama, nosha, kama, mar nefesh. No. David looked at each one of them and he saw the greatness inside of them. That's a leader. Vayilech David misham, mitzpei Moab. David went from the Adulame caves to Moab. Now, why would he go to another enemy of the Jewish people? He had just went to Achish Malakat. That didn't work out. He thought they were going to take captive. Why would David now go to Moab of all nations? Come on. What's David's connection to Moab?
Rus,
very good. They are mishpacha. So he goes to Moab. Vayomer Amelach Moab, Yetze na avi v'imi itzchem, ad asher eda ma yaseh li Elohim. Can I ask you a favor? Can my elderly parents stay with you? They're afraid to stay in the country because it's dangerous. So can they stay with you until this whole thing is over. No problem. Simcha Rabba, to help out some of the mishpacha, we are so happy to do that. Vayanchem es pnei melech Moav, vayeshvu imo kol yemei hayos David b'mitzuda. And he brought them before the king of Moab, and they stayed there all the time that David was in the Mitzuda. Rashi points out over here, and I think it's explicit in the Psukim, but it wasn't only David's parents, but some of the kids, some of the brothers stayed there as well. I know they're elderly, they were nervous to move around a lot. The Melech Moab offered them a nice place. It's not clear, but they stayed there. Chazal point out here the following. You're going to see later on in Shmuel Beis, after David is elected as king, is that he engages in war with Moab, and he goes above and beyond in terms of the level of way that he's going to conquer the king of Moab and their nation. And the Mefarshim struggle with why is he going over the top against Moab. Says Rashi over here that the pasuk is pointing out over here that when were they peaceful with David's family? Only when David was samach leMoav. Ukashiyatza David misham liya'ar cheres. When David moves away, when he's no longer close by to Moab's palace and to Moab's land, Harag melech Moab es aviv ves imo ve'achiv. David had melech Moab murdered an innocent, presumably elderly man, woman, and defenseless brothers of David HaMelech. He waited for David to leave, and pretended to be nice. The second he left, he murdered the entire family, except for one brother. We're going to see this come into play later on in the Navi, about how David is appreciative that Nachash Hamoni saved one of his brothers. The murder, right? Not just this, it's duplicitous. The murder of innocent people. Vayomer Gad Hanavi. And we're going to slowly also meet new people, new friends or allies and enemies of David. A lot of that, you're going to learn a lot of names. Vayomer Gad Hanavi. Gad was one of the Nevi'im that was around during this time. Lo Teshe b'mitzuda. Don't stay here. It's not an ideal place for you. Uvasalacha Eretz Yehuda. You should go to the land of Yehuda. Vayelach David vayvo Ya'ar Chares. And David went to the land of Yehuda, and he went to the forest of Chares. Why did he go to Eretz Yehuda? So David went there very simply. Vatam, I'm reading from the Radak. Lefisha be'eretz Yehuda hayu oavim oso, ima yakam sha'ul avaksho, ahim megidim lo, v'hu nimla mimakom l'makom. It's an easy place for David to hide. David was from Yehuda. They would take his side, and if Shaul began inquiring about him, word would quickly spread, and they'd be able to hide him in a different place. So God came al pi nevuah from the Ribono Shalom, right? And Navi just doesn't to tell David, go to where you're going to be protected. You need to go to a safe place, go to Eretz Yehuda. Vayishma Shaul, as this is happening, right? The screen shifts, the show. Vayishma Shaul ki noda David, va'anashim asher ito. Shaul Yoshe Begiva, Tachas Ha'eshal Berama. Shaul heard that David was found, he was discovered. He was hiding in a cave, and then eventually he left the cave. Somebody leaked this information. And where was Shaul? Shaul was in Giv'ah. Giv'ah is in Binyamin's territory. We know that because Pilegesh beGiv'ah. He was sitting under a tree, like almost like sharpening his spear. Right? He was like waiting for this moment, like aimlessly almost, to wait to murder David HaMelech. So Shaul then speaks to his servants, and he accuses his servants. Now, this is somebody that has really lost it. Listen to me, you Benjaminites, you guys from Binyamin. I'm Shaul. I'm a Binyamin. I'm from Binyamin. Will the son of Yishai pay you and give you land if you listen to him? Absolutely not. Ki keshartim kulchem alai. Bin goleh es ozni bechras b'nei im b'ni bechras b'ni im ben Yishai. And he says, and he accuses all of these men that you took sides with who? With my son Yehonatan, with David against me. Nobody feels sorry for you, and nobody told me that my son was against me. He is extremely, extremely paranoid. Well, maybe rightfully so. His son did go against him. He is not thinking straight, and he is angry at everybody. But now he is also noticing that he has no allies. He has no people that are going to really help him against David HaMelech. However, he has one guy. Vaya'an doeg hadomi v'hu nitzav al avdei Shaul. There's one guy, a guy that we just met a little while ago. And that is Doeg Hadomi. Doeg was the guy that was listening and was there when David was in Nov. V'hu nitzav al avdei Shaul. He was there. Remember, Doeg was the chief shepherd herder of all of Shaul's flock. Vayomer Re'isias ben Yishai ben Nova, Elachimelech ben Achituv. I've seen him. I know where he is. He was just in Nov, Ir HaKohanim, with Achimelech ben Achituv. Right? He's not just mentioning his name by accident, but he could have just said he's in Nov. He wants to make, right, an enemy out of people. You could just say he's here. Vayishalo b'Hashem, v'tzeda nasalo. He listened, and Achimelech gave him a free rein. He gave him food. He let him use the ephod. The cherev Goliath, v'yischerev Goliath, aplishi nasalo. He gave him a weapon. Vayishlach Hamelech likroas Achimelech ben Achituv. Shaul immediately springs into action, and he sends messengers to bring Achimelech, v'eskol beis aviv hakohanim asher benov, vayavou kulam el hamelech. So he says, Achimelech and all of the Kohanim must immediately be present before the king. I presume in Giv'ah, where they were. Vayomer Shaul, Shmana ben Achituv, Vayomer Hineni Adoni. So Shaul says to him, Ben Achituv, are you here? Ben Achituv is derogatory. You don't call the Kohen Gadol Ben Amram, Aaron a Kohen. You don't call him like Repan. We don't call him by his last name. This is Derech Bizayon. Lo Zachar Shemo, says the Radak. Derech Bizayon, he was embarrassing him, degrading him in the eyes of everybody around. Vayomer Lav Shaul. Lama Kishartem Elai. Why did you rebel against me? Why are you conspiring against me? Ata uven Yishai besitcha lo lechem v'cherev v'sha'ol lo ve'elokim. You asked Yishai, Ben Yishai, right? Ben Yishai. Again, derogatory, not David. You gave David food. You let him use the ephod, and you gave him weapons. V'sha'ol lo ve'elokim lakum elai la'orev kayom hazeh. You're allowing him to come and attack me? Now, we all know that did David do this? I mean, David went to him. Achimelech didn't even know about this whole thing with the running and the going. He thought that David was on a mission. He had no idea that this was itself going on behind the scenes in the kingdom. The Kohen Gadol doesn't get involved in politics. V'yad Achimelech es hamelech ve'yomer. You notice the Navi purposely now is saying that Achimelech answered him. That not Ben Achituv, the way that Shaul was calling him, but Achimelech responds. Vayomer, umi b'chol avadecha keDavid neman. You're accusing David as becoming like a traitor? Are you nuts? Like, everyone knows that David is a ne'eman. He's faithful. V'chasan hamelech. He's your son-in-law. He's going to go against you. V'sar el mishpatecha v'nichba b'veisecha. He listens to everything you do. Who else goes out to fight all these crazy wars that you ask him to do? It's him. David does. No one else. Hayom achilosi lishol Elohim chalilali. Ayasim hamelech be'avdo davar b'chol beis avi. Ki lo yadav decha b'chol zos davar katan u'gadol. And then listen, from me, my perspective, did I ask him, did he use the ephod to ask Hashem questions? Yes. But I never did anything against you. That's me, my father, we are always on your side. Vayomer hamelech. Vayomer hamelech. Mos tamos. Achimelech ata v'chol beis avicha. Shaul turns to him, or makes a declaration out loud. You're going to die. We're going to kill you and your entire family. The entire family of Achimelech, the whole city of Novir Kohanim, should be put to death because they are traitors. Vayomer hamelech laratzim hanitzavim alav. Shaul turns to the soldiers, the foot soldiers that were next to him. And he says to them, Sobu v'hemisu kohanei Hashem. Go ahead and kill these Kohanim. Ki gam yadam im David. Because their hands are with David. Notice the Navi does not use his name Shaul here, the king. It's almost like removes any personal, like who Shaul is no longer a person in a certain way. The way that he's acting right now is not as a human being. It's not behaving that way. Sobu v'hemisu kohanei Hashem ki gam yadam im David v'chi yadu ki vorecho. Not only that, they knew that he ran away and nobody told me. But the Ratzim, the foot soldiers, they refused to listen. They refused to take orders from the king. Right? What do people say? I was just listening to orders. I was just following orders. I should not be at fault for doing anything wrong. I'm just following orders. No, no, no. Soldiers could say no if they feel it's immorally wrong. Look right here in the Torah, in the Navi. No, we are not listening to you. Vayomer HaMelech, and Shaul persists. The Doeg, he says to Doeg, Sov ata ufaga b'kohanim. You go ahead and murder all these Kohanim. Doeg himself does not flinch. Vayisov Doeg Adomi v'yifkahu b'kohanim vayamos. Vayamas b'yamahu shmonem v'chamisha ish nosei ephod bad. Doeg turns around and he murders and he kills 85 Kohanim. 85 Kohanim in one day. Nosei ephod bad. Mitzudas Davis says, why do we need to know what they're wearing? Kol achad mehem nosei ephod hu malbush mechubad. They're wearing mechubadik clothing at this time. That it wasn't just enough that they were people. They were well-respected individuals within the broader community, within Klal Yisrael. The Radak points out here is that he killed 85 people that were Kohanim, that were wearing these dignified clothing, but he killed a lot more than this. 85 were ones that could wear this fine clothing, but there were a lot more that they did murder at this time. Shaul Doeg then take their wrath out on the entire city of Nov, Ir Kohanim, and they murder the entire city, men, women, and children. Men, women, and children. They have no mercy at all.
Rabbi.
Yes.
Okay, so this is like bothering me a little bit here. Again, who was the person that picked Shaul the king? It's the Kadosh Baruch Hu, right?
Yeah.
I don't get it. I mean, what's the reason that we have to go through this? I know it's very hard for me to, just because Bnei Yisrael wanted a king, this is the lesson that has to be learned. I mean, I
don't think that's a lesson that needs to be learned. People have free will, have bechira chavshus, and people could choose to, one of my students asked me this week a similar question, and he said the Adam was created from two things. Afar min adama, from dirt in the ground, and also from Hashem, v'ipach pa'apav nishmas chayim. The word Adam comes from Adama, at ground, dirt, and it also comes from the word Adameh. I can compare myself le'elyon to Hashem. We have an option as to how we want to act and behave in this world. We can make decisions that make us lower than animals and make ourselves like dirt. Or we can make ourselves the most supreme, intellectual, sensitive, kind human beings. Right? That is our option. Why Hashem allows this to happen, I don't know. Lo navi ani, lo ben navi anochi. I don't know. I thought you were going to say the following. Shaul HaMelech got into this entire situation because he had too much Rachmanos. He couldn't kill King Agag. You think about that now, contextually, politically. He couldn't pull the trigger, so to speak, on Agag. He let him live. Shaul HaMelech, when it comes to Nov Ir Kohanim, he had no Rachmanos. He had no Rachmanos on anybody. Vayimalate, sorry, none of that. Men, women, children, v'shor v'chamor, v'seh, and the animals. Last time, David Shaul had compassion on the animals. No compassion. No compassion here. V'yimalate ben achiv ben achad. Sorry, ben achad lachimelech ben achituv. Ushmo Eviatar vayivrach acharei David. One of Achimelech's sons run away, and he tries to find David. His name is Eviatar. Eviatar is going to be the next Kohen Gadol under David HaMelech, and David HaMelech is going to take care of him. Vayaged Eviatar leDavid ki harag Shaul es kohanei Hashem. Eviatar runs away from the encampment, from the murder scene, the mass murder, and he runs back. He runs to Shaul, runs to David. Sorry, and he tells him what happens. Vayomer David leEviatar yadati bayomahu ki sham doeg hadomi. David felt, he saw that he was there. So David, he feels guilt. He feels that Doeg was there. He had a feeling that Doeg was going to do something like this. Why does he know that Doeg would do something like this? There happens to be a medrash, it's Gemara in Yevamos, which writes that initially, I don't know what exact moment this was, when David was gaining popularity, Doeg publicly challenged the Jewishness, the authority of David's progeny, that Rus isn't Jewish. So if Rus wasn't Jewish, because the pasuk of Mo Avi v'lo, right? Lo yavo amoni movi b'kal Hashem adolam. So how can he be Jewish? That whole question that only Moabite men can't be Jewish, but Moabite women can be Jewish, that whole thing was brought out by the public embarrassment of Doeg Hadomi on David HaMelech, and that's when the Beis Din paskined that David, in fact, was Jewish. David knew that with him there, something was going to go awry. He turns to the young boy and he says to him, Shiva iti, stay with me. Al tira, don't be afraid. Kasher yivakesh es nafshi, yivakesh es nafshacha. Our lives are always going to be tied up together. They seek my life, they seek your life. They seek your life, they seek my life. I will take a bullet for you. Mishmeret ata imadi. Your safeguard will be with me. I promise you that I will take care of you. This is a very powerful parak, right? Maybe next week we'll go to a different mizmor in Tehillim, in which David speaks about Doeg Hadomi. Maybe we'll just talk about that a little bit, about evil and what's David's reaction to this, where he expands upon it within Tehillim, which I think is not just appropriate now, but for us to really appreciate what is happening in David's life, in David's mind, really in David's heart, is to go through some of the Tehillim that is happening in real time in our learning. So with that, we'll finish for today. I want to wish everybody it should be a good day. We share good news, Bezran Hashem, and Shabbat Stovos, Kol Tov, everyone.